I can help, Maya Williams said loud and clear. Everyone turned. A 10-year-old black girl stood just inside the Monroe Holdings boardroom, facing a room full of stunned executives, security guards, and one furious billionaire. The interpreter had collapsed minutes earlier. A sudden stroke right there in the hallway. Paramedics were still en route, but the delegation from Dubai was arriving now. The $30 million deal on the table was the company's last hope. Without it, Monroe Holdings would fall into default. Over 1,200 employees would lose their jobs. Investors would pull out. The boardroom pulsed with tension. Across the table, billionaire CEO Victor Langston rose from his chair and barked. Get that girl out of here now before this turns into a circus. 2 security guards moved immediately. Maya took a step back, resisting. No, let me help, she shouted, twisting out of their grip. I speak Arabic and French. Please, if you don't let me help, this company will collapse. Gasps rippled. Executives exchanged uneasy glances. One murmured. What did she just say? Get her out now. Another cried. This is insane. The guards reached her again, gripping her arms. Maya fought back, her voice louder, firmer. Let me try. You have no other choice. And if this moment moved you even just a little, we'd love to hear where in the world you're watching from. Drop a comment below. Your voice matters here. If stories like this inspire you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the BUP Stories channel. There's so much more to come and we'd be honored to have you on this journey with us. Then the door burst open. A woman rushed in, eyes wide with panic. Maya, it was Lionel William, her mother. Her face was pale. She's just a child. More shouting. One executive screamed. If she messes this up, we'll all pay for it. Victor Langston raised a hand. Silence. The room froze. He stared at Maya for a long moment, then said, We're out of time. We gamble once. Sir, this is highly irregular. Someone started. Victor cut him off. Let her try. If she fails, we're finished anyway. The guards released her. Maya stepped forward, chest rising with each breath. Her mother clasped her hands over her mouth. In the hall, staff whispered and stared. I won't let you down, Maya said. Victor nodded once. The doors opened. The Dubai delegation entered. And a 10-year-old girl stood at the edge of corporate collapse in history. Maya stood at the head of the massive conference table, her heart hammering like a freight train in her chest, her fingers tightened around the hem of her hoodie. The Dubai delegation filed into the room, 5 sharply dressed men and 1 woman in a navy hijab. Their expressions were unreadable, but their eyes flicked toward the girl in confusion. One of them leaned to another and whispered in Arabic. She's a child, Maya understood every word. I may be a child, she replied in precise Arabic, but I am also fluent. And right now, I'm the only bridge between you and the deal. The room tensed. The Dubai delegation looked startled, then intrigued. One man cracked a faint smile. Victor Langston leaned back in his chair, arms folded. Begin. Sophia Monroe, still reeling from the whirlwind of the last 10 minutes, handed Maya a copy of the contract summary. Her fingers brushed the girl's hand. Just do your best, she whispered. Mia nodded and took a breath, pushing her shoulders back. She scanned the room one last time. Her mother standing near the door trembling. A dozen high-level executives, half of whom had tried to throw her out 5 minutes ago, now watched her like a live wire. She turned toward the delegation and opened her mouth. The meeting began. The Dubai lead delegate, Mr. Al-Murad, spoke first, fluid, confident Arabic. Maya translated instantly, her voice calm and measured. She didn't just deliver the words. She captured the tone, the intent. When he made a joke about the New York weather, she smiled faintly and passed it on with the same dry humor. The table chuckled. Victor's brow lifted slightly. So far, so good. Then came the real test, The legal terms. Al-Murad outlined a set of proposed changes to the liability clause in the event of contract default. It was complex, layered in diplomatic nuance. Maya paused for only a second before she began translating, speaking slowly, choosing words with care. A junior lawyer at the table whispered, "She's doing better than the last 3 adult translators we've hired," someone else added. "Is she reading legalese?" "She's thinking in it," murmured another. But just as confidence began to bloom, it happened. A single word, Tasri, slipped past her. Maya hesitated. She knew it. She'd studied it. But in this context, its meaning fractured into possibilities. Permit, declaration, exemption. One wrong choice, and the meaning of the clause could flip entirely. The room noticed her pause. Whispers rippled. Victor's eyes narrowed. Maya swallowed. Her hands clenched. She could hear her mother shifting at the door. Somewhere in the blur, someone muttered, "We shouldn't have let her do this." Then Maya looked at Mr. Al-Murad. "Sir," she said in Arabic. "To clarify, when you said Tasri, did you mean regulatory exemption or export clearance?" He blinked. "Regulatory exemption." "Thank you," she replied and continued. Sophia exhaled. A few executives nodded in approval, but not everyone was pleased. One man, Mr. Denner, VP of Legal Affairs, leaned toward Victor. "She's sharp, yes, but this is a multi-million-dollar deal. If she makes even one semantic mistake," Victor held up a finger, "and if she hadn't stepped in, we'd be packing our boxes by now." Back at the head of the table, Maya was hitting her stride. She translated both directions now, fielding questions from Monroe's board and delivering answers from the Dubai team with uncanny poise. She had a rhythm. Listen, confirm, relay. Her voice never wavered. But it wasn't just the translation. Maya listened deeper than most. When Mr. Al-Murad mentioned that his government was under pressure to complete the deal quickly, she noted the hesitation in his tone. When Monroe's CFO asked about currency volatility, she detected a flicker of concern in the Dubai team's expressions. She leaned towards Sophia and whispered in English, "They're worried about timing. They'll accept the late payment clause if we add a guarantee of stability." Sophia blinked, then turned to Victor. "We can concede late payment if we reinforce the conversion lock." Victor studied Maya, then nodded. "Do it." The new offer was made. The Dubai team conferred quietly among themselves. Then Mr. Al-Murad turned and smiled. "In that case," he said, "we have a deal." The room erupted. There was no cheering. Not yet, but the air shifted palpably. Shoulders relaxed. Pens scratched signatures. A general counsel leaned back and whispered, "That girl just saved this company." Victor remained silent, watching Maya as she stepped back from the table, her face pale with exhaustion. Sophia approached the girl, knelt to her height. "You were brilliant." Mia nodded once. "Can I sit now?" Sophia smiled and stood, turning to the room. "Gentlemen, I suggest we applaud the entire boardroom." All 22 people stood and clapped, some hesitantly, some with awe. Lionel William, still frozen by the door, brought both hands to her face. Victor clapped too, slowly, deliberately. Then he said, "Someone get this girl a glass of water," and someone else called a press. Maya sat on the edge of a leather chair, her legs dangling, her hoodie damp with sweat. Her mother rushed forward, wrapping her in a hug so tight it made her gasp. "You scared me," Lionel whispered. "I had to do it," Maya replied. "No one else could." Victor crossed the room. "Miss William." Maya looked up. "You just saved us 1,200 jobs in a company that took 30 years to build." He paused. "That's not just talent, that's leadership." She smiled faintly. "My mom taught me to listen. My dad taught me to be brave." "I'd like to meet both," Victor said. Her mother straightened. "You just did." The room laughed, light finally returning to tired faces. Victor turned to Sophia. "Keep her close. We may need her again." Her on the rooftop carrying 2 cups of chamomile tea. She handed one to Maya and sat beside her in silence. Did it work? Liana asked finally. Maya exhaled. I don't know. I think maybe it doesn't work like a switch. Maybe it's more like planting a forest. Slow, invisible, but growing. Liana nodded. And you? Are you still growing? Maya turned, smiled. Every day. That night, the board of the Aninslee Foundation held a private dinner, not to celebrate, but to reflect. Elliot spoke first. He stood at the head of the long mahogany table, his voice calm but charged. What Maya has reminded us, he said, is that the most dangerous lie we ever accept is that the truth will take care of itself. It won't. It needs gardeners. It needs shields. It needs children willing to speak when the world insists they whisper. They toasted, not to her, but to the thousands of voices rising because she did. Over the next few months, the William Trust expanded. Local initiatives bloomed across the country. Maya visited Detroit, Tulsa, Oakland, Louisville, anywhere people felt forgotten. She didn't come to give speeches. She came to listen. In one town, she met a librarian who had hidden banned books under a floorboard. In another, a teenager confessed he'd been writing down everything his principal told him to ignore. In every room, there was someone carrying a piece of the story. Back in New York, Elliot called a final team meeting before the winter break. There's one more file, he said. He placed it on the table. The cover was stamped with the name of a consulting firm known for designing media strategy for global corporations. Inside, blueprints for a coordinated campaign of narrative suppression across education, healthcare, environment, immigration. It was the missing link, a roadmap of control. They built it like a machine, Andre said. Every story filtered, every counter-narrative managed. Grace traced the timeline. This started before Maya ever spoke. Years before. They were afraid long before she existed, Elliot said. Maya sat quietly, studying the file. We have to show it. Oliver hesitated. This would blow open everything. There could be real consequences. Maya looked up. There already were for everyone who stayed quiet. The team agreed. The foundation launched a final series of Unmuted, a 3-part special titled The Blueprint. Each episode dismantled the machine, how it worked, who built it, how people unknowingly played into its silence. The release crashed the servers in the first hour. Across the country, conversations changed. News anchors referenced the series on air. City councils passed ordinances to protect whistleblowers. Universities redesigned media ethics programs using the blueprint as case study material. Then came the reckoning. An international coalition of watchdog organizations filed suits against 3 of the firms exposed. Senate hearings resumed. Several high-level resignations followed. One former executive testifying anonymously said, "We didn't fear exposure. We feared a child who wouldn't back down." Maya's name was submitted for the National Civic Honor Award, the youngest person ever considered. She declined. "I don't want to be honored," she said. "I want others to be heard." Spring arrived. Trees bloomed along the avenues. And the world, once so confident in its own stories, now paused to ask where those stories came from. On a warm April afternoon, Maya returned to the same office building where it all began, where she had stepped forward to translate, to help, to save something fragile. The receptionist didn't recognize her. That was fine. She walked through the lobby, memory tugging at every corner, the marble floor, the cold air, the echo of "get her out of here," now overwritten by the memory of her own words. "Let me help." Upstairs, the new CEO of Monroe Holdings, a woman named Victoria Giles, waited. Giles had taken over after internal reforms, promising transparency and restitution. She greeted Maya with an extended hand and a tired but grateful smile. "You changed everything," Giles said. "No," Mia replied. "I reminded you who it's for." They spoke for 40 minutes. No cameras, no microphones, just clarity. As she left the building, a janitor nodded at her. He didn't say anything, but he tapped his temple, then his heart. Maya smiled and did the same. The world didn't erupt. There were no parades, just progress, quiet, firm, and real. Weeks later, Maya stood in front of her classroom. It was career day. Her teacher had asked her to speak, not as a prodigy, not as an activist, just as herself. She wrote 2 words on the board. Truth matters. Then she turned to her classmates and asked, "When was the last time you trusted what you heard without asking where it came from?" No one answered. She smiled. Good, that means you're thinking. The bell rang. Students filed out. One girl lingered. "Do you think someone like me can do what you did?" she asked. Mia tilted her head. "I think someone like you is exactly who will do what I haven't yet." The girl beamed and ran off. That evening, Maya walked home with Liana. The sky above them burned gold. "So what now?" Liana asked. "Now," Maya said. "Now we teach others to draw the line." And somewhere, not far, another voice, once silenced, began to speak. The story of Maya Williams teaches us that courage knows no age, and truth, though often quiet, can be the most powerful force in the world. In a time when silence was expected and manipulation disguised as normalcy, one young voice challenged an entire system built on deception. Her journey reminds us that real change begins when we dare to speak, especially when it's hard. It is not fame or power that defines impact, but integrity, persistence, and the belief that justice is worth fighting for, even when the odds seem impossible. Don't forget to like and subscribe to BUP Stories for more inspiring tales.